smiles, I see the night again. In all the dreams I have, I hear the sound of angels cry. Take me back, I need to find those distant memories. Hold on close, only not far through it all. In all my life, I've been searching for a better world, but time has let me down. Here we stand on this broken land, raise my head up high, I can see the sun. We are the children, with fire in the sky, and we are the future. Our souls in the night will never die. Feel the change, it seems it's like the same old day to me. Nothing here I have to live before they capture me. In all my life I've been searching for a better world, but time has let me down. Here we stand on this broken land, raise my head up high, I can see the sun. We are the children, with fire in the sky. We are the future. Our souls in the night will never die.
Well, it's Thursday night, and we are live for your viewing entertainment here. I am Dixie Dave, along with my co-host, Crossen, and we're here to show you another episode of NWF Rewind.
Actually, I think more appropriately tonight, the Kids Quad Cities Pro Wrestling Rewind. We're going way back, Dave. Show number 7.
Yep, we're doing a fan request. Now, speaking of fans, I'm a fan of the band that has graciously provided us with our intro music. And if you're a fan, if you like that music, it is available on their Queen of Hearts album at lilyacband.com. And as we speak right now, Lilac is out on tour supporting their upcoming album, Madness. And tomorrow night, they're going to be in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Saturday, they're going to be in Denver, Colorado. Sunday, they're going to be in Grand Junction, Colorado. Monday, oddly enough, they're going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah. And next Wednesday, they're going to be in Hollywood, California. And finally, next Thursday, competing with us, they're going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tickets are available at lilyacband.com. Also, check them out. They're gracious people, very friendly. We had the band's manager on here a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was great to have him on. And also, Dave, I want to thank Andrew Carlson again for last week.
Yes, as sharing his time with us.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was really great. If you guys didn't see that show, I suggest watch it. There was a lot of great conversation there with Andrew. It was a unique conversation because Andrew's experience with the NWF, Dave, is different than most of our guests and most of our participants, in that he was involved in several shoot matches to defend the belt.
Right.
you know, they were shoots for the time he was in it in '85. Those were all shoot matches. So meaning it was not predetermined.
Let's clarify. The title matches were shoot matches.
Right, meaning they weren't predetermined, and you had to win by pin or submission, or in Andrew's case, and I loved the way he addressed that with you, Dave, when he said you can jive me all you want and grabbing the ropes, but if it meant I went the distance and kept the belt, all within the rules, you know, and that's the mindset. So it's just interesting because his mindset was a little different, and even when I told him how we stopped doing the shoots after he left, and you know, going forward and did it properly, you know, his first question is, were the matches still intense? Totally different perspective for him. So very interesting interview there with him.
And it was nice for me to meet him because, you know,
yeah,
Ace was way before Dixie Dave came out. And I enjoy sitting down with some of the predecessors who came before me.
Yeah. And of course, we want everybody that was ever involved in the NWF who would like to come on with us as guests. We certainly invite. You're always welcome out there, those alumni that are watching. You know, we Dave and I are. There's nobody's off bounds to come on our show and be a guest. You know, for.
I mean, come on. Look at it this way. For years, you had harsh feelings with one Mr. Steve Engstrom.
Yeah. And everybody knows that.
There's been no secret about there being real bad blood between you and Mr. Engstrom. Mm-hmm. And we had him on, and now some of that bad blood is no longer there.
Yep. And it was a great interview with him too. And by the way, folks, if you want to see these what we're talking about, you just go to our YouTube channel, which is on YouTube. You just search NWF Wrestling. You'll find our YouTube channel. And you just go there and look in the live tab, and you'll have all the past shows. So you can always watch anything we did. It's all there.
Or an even easier way, go to your YouTube and just type in NWF Rewind, and you'll find us. You'll find all the past shows. You'll find the shorts that Crusher Crossen loves to do.
Right, which I haven't done any in a while. I got to do some more of those. Now they have all these great talking points with guests like Ace that we had last week. Today, though, Dave, like I said, we're going to look at TV Taping 7 from Group W Cable. It was recorded on July 3rd, 1984 at Group W Cable in Anoka. 7th show of the league. It was known as the Kids Quad Cities Pro Wrestling Show at this point because we were in Anoka, Champlin, Ramsey, and Andover. Those were the 4 cities. So nothing, we hadn't expanded yet. Actually, you know what? This might be, I take that back, Dave. I believe this could be the Kids Twin Cities Pro Wrestling Show at this point. I think. It might. We might have went to the Twin Cities by this time.
Right.
I think the Quad Cities might have been the first 5 or 6 shows. So I'm just going by my memory there, but still, even if we were in the Twin Cities, we were only in about 26 cities at this point. We didn't even have the whole metro yet. So, but yeah, so now.
And this show was a request from one of our viewers.
Yeah, Gabriel Henrik requested this about a little over a month ago, and I told him we'd play it, and so we're gonna do it. So that goes for everybody. If there's a certain show you want to see, just request it with us. Type it in the comments, say you'd like to see a certain show, and then we'll put that in the queue and get that one up.
The only thing is we're saving all of our big events for anniversary shows of those events.
Right. That's why we did the first Armory card back in May, because that's when that happened. Obviously, in July 26th, the week of that week, we're going to do the July Armory card. So.
And then in August, we have another show to do.
Yeah. And so, and all those dates. So, but yeah, so this show, Dave, is an interesting show. I go against Merciless Mike for the belt, and
okay, we'll wait for the results on that.
We'll wait for the results on that, but a lot of pressure on that particular situation, which we'll talk about when we get to that. It's an interesting scenario there. But yeah, so I guess let's start the show. People are waiting to see it. We'll get this thing rocking and rolling here. So we'll at least get it going.
Sean, are you putting a tape in here?
You can hear the chitter chatter of me and Charlie.
Mountain Warner to the front there. Test.
Oh, it is the Quad Cities. Yeah, so it's still the Quad Cities Pro Wrestling show here. Yeah.
Yes,
No music intro, just me and Charlie talking.
I'm here talking with Tim Johnson.
We call
Right
ourselves
now,
Ray
this
and
is
Tim Johnson.
And this is the show, the Kids Quad Cities Pro Wrestling. And I hope all you folks out there like our show, because it's really exciting, and you'll get fun-packed adventure. Get fun-packed fun just watching it. It's pretty. You're gonna like it, folks. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we're just kids, so it's like the words don't always come out right.
Group W Cable.
And of course, it wasn't live. We're just saying that.
Oh, here's Matt Denny entering the arena.
So Matt Denny, one of the original wrestlers in the league, Dave.
8 pounds.
Alrighty.
Matt Denny. He's looking pretty sad. I don't know why.
And
He's
he
one of the
goes
biggest
against
men we've
a
got
very
in
interesting
wrestling. It's
character
200
here.
That's
people
right,
that are
Tim.
big.
He is a big man, and not to mention his tag team partner, Mark Fisher.
Oh my gosh, Mark Fisher's what?
Yeah, him and Mark Fisher were a
242
tag team.
pounds, or,
Pretty close, I tell you, but
142 pounds.
And there you see him
And
off
I
to the
guess,
right,
okay,
the
now, who's he
debut,
wrestling?
Dave,
Who's he
of
rival?
Jackknife
I
Jacob.
don't see.
And fans, you can tell that this is
It's-
early. There aren't even ring ropes up yet.
Jacob.
Yeah,
Nope,
yeah,
it's just the stage. We didn't have the ropes yet.
105 pounds.
And this was Jackknife's. Now, Jackknife always stuck to that gray shirt and red shorts, but he has the Minnesota Gophers cowboy hat on in these days. He switches that up to a more kind of cool looking baseball cap.
I think Matt Denny will
But
win. The man's not the strong.
in the beginning, he had that big old cowboy hat.
Little, we
And
can tell. His name's Jack
so
Knight
this is
Jacob.
Rob's very
Yeah,
first
he
match.
does-
Rob was on the show as an
Yeah,
announcer
never know,
from
so-
show 3.
Well,
I want to say
the
show
match is
3.
already starting.
He joined, but this is where he first became a wrestler as well. This
The
is his
bell's gonna
debut.
go off.
And Jackknife,
Here
Rob, he
goes
went on to become one of the
bell.
best heels of '84 for our league,
Here's the
Dave.
bell, folks.
Right. I mean, just watching the past footage I
Oh,
have,
now they start wrestling. Ooh.
Okay, here they go. Look at
Until
this.
the,
Takedown by Matt
You can
Denny
see
there.
incidents
that Matt Denny's
happen.
strong, the way he took one arm and nailed him down.
Yes, sir. I tell you.
But Jacob's
He was one of the best
Jack-
heels in
Jacob,
the
he's got some
league.
Good punches. Ooh.
Yep.
You see that blow to Jacob?
He really was,
That Matt Denny,
and
man, he can hit.
he was
Look at
talented.
that guy. He's just
He was
huge.
not
Ooh,
only,
he did it. Matt
Mike
Denny did
Ackerman said
try
it
to
best. He
try
was
to
not
kick
only a
hit
good
Jacob, but he hurt
interviewer
himself.
as
Jacob's
Ray
fucking
Johnson,
big.
as the character that he
Jack
played for the
Knife,
announcing,
Jackknife.
but he was a
He's
good
hitting-
interviewee.
Jacob's
He could
seen
do a
me
good
hurt.
interview
Denny's
as a
hitting
wrestler.
Jackknife is very much in pain.
And
Denny's just nailing
very
him, pounding
creative
away.
behind the
Look at that
scenes as
huge
well.
guy.
He
He's
came
doing
up with a
his-
lot of ideas and
he's gonna do his
concepts in the
famous
early
walk.
days.
Mid-ocean body
Um,
flop. Boy, when Jacob nailed him. Boy, when he does his body
But yeah,
flop, you know it's
and I
gonna
noticed
hurt.
the referee is Jim Benson. He was another
Look at him
one of
hitting
the
karate,
the
judo.
early wrestlers in those
Jacob,
days. He
he's
was
looking pretty
good
to
friends with
Denny.
Rob. Jim
I think
was.
he's got the
They lived
advantage
very
over
close to
Jacob.
each other in
Yeah, that's true.
Anoka, in our neighborhood.
Yep.
Oh, look at that hit to Matt. Wow, that was a blow.
And as you can tell, back in these days, we weren't quite as polished as we became, but
Oh,
this
boy,
is the
he looks
infancy
like-
of the company.
Yeah. And we got a comment
Oh,
on
there he goes
Facebook.
down
Looks
on the
good.
ground.
Nice
Boy, I
ring.
tell
That's
ya.
Mr. Jeff
Oh,
Dinsmore.
Jackknife Jacob.
Yeah, it's not a ring.
Oh, look at
In
that.
this
Right
in
to
these
the shoulder. Might have
early
nicked him there, I
days,
don't
it's
Oh, Rick,
it's just
look
the
at that,
stage.
folks. Oh my gosh. Denny.
Um,
Good evening, Dr. Dredd.
Oh gosh, look at this.
Ooh, did you see that? Denny's knee hit. Denny's.
Yeah, it's just
fighting
kind of the
back,
way
as
it
you can
was
see.
back
Oh,
then. I
Jacob hit him,
mean,
though.
we wanted a
That's
ring
quite
so
bad.
bad. You know,
He's
even in these
strong. Look
early
at that guy.
days, Dave, I knew of the ring at
Ooh,
Fred
Denny's
Moore,
looks
and
hurt.
me and Milton
Mhm.
Warner, another
The
kid that
ref
was on the
right now
show
is
back in
thinking,
these
"What's
days,
going
we
on?"
went to Fred Moore and tried to
No,
get
he wants-
permission back in
Denny
these
jumps in the
days,
ring.
Oh, okay.
Jacob's hurt.
and
Denny
they
hit something.
immediately
Yes,
shot
look
us
at that.
down.
Right
Jacob's
into
out
the
of the
wall.
ring. Ooh,
Oh, but he
nailed.
got it.
So
they're
that
both
didn't
hurt.
really.
They're both down
That
now.
was, you know, so we
This
just
is the-
couldn't get in
Oh,
there, and
right
we
into
we
that.
so
Have
wanted a
you
ring.
seen that?
That hurts,
Um,
I tell you.
It does.
Our friend Tom Hubin,
Oh
he's
my
out there.
gosh.
It
I'm telling you,
all
folks,
kind of
that
commenting
is
that there's
painful,
no
I tell ya.
ropes, and that's right. These early, so there's the funny thing, Dave, is all of these shows,
Oh boy.
you know, the basement stuff we did on the bed mattresses, which were the first 4 shows, and then
Whoa.
the
Oh my-
5th show
oh,
we
that
actually
was
did in my
close, folks.
backyard at Yoho Municipal in the backyard. Only we just put the bed mattresses out there.
Okay, now Jacob's gonna.
That was
Oh my gosh,
our
did you
5th
see
show.
that?
And then
hit
show
the-
6
oh,
on was in
again.
Group W Cable Studio on this
Oh my
stage.
gosh, this Denny
Show
really
numbers
takes
6 through
punishment.
21
I don't
were all
believe
done
this,
on the
Jacob.
stage without ropes.
You see the ref Jim Benson counting him out. If he,
So that's
he
a
has
lot
to
of
get back in the
shows.
ring, otherwise
Right.
he'll be counted
That's
out
probably
on the
6
stage.
months of shows that we did. And
Listen,
once we got the
wow,
what
this
looked like
is-
a
this
ring,
is-
Dave,
this
and we
is
got those
extraordinary, I
ropes,
tell ya.
Yep.
I was like, I don't even want to see this stuff anymore because I liked the way the ring looked, right? And I
Yep.
didn't want to even keep this, so I recorded over all these shows.
Ah.
And at the time, I didn't care. Now I wished I would have kept everything. I don't know why. I just wish I could go back in time and do that again. But yeah, I recorded over all because I just figured, hey, we don't need to even look at this anymore because now we got a much better look, right?
Right.
There's a 3 count.
Was that
Jackknife
3 count?
So,
We just got the signal.
and Jackknife Jacob gets the win in his debut.
Read that, folks.
He really hasn't developed his persona yet, you know?
Right.
So, but as these shows went on, Jackknife became just really good at a villain. He was one of the
Yeah,
best.
that's right. You just heard it. Jackknife Jacob, the winner. There's his music, folks.
Yeah,
Jackknife Jacob.
Jackknife.
Woo!
You can hear us all in the editing suite be acting like the crowd. What's going on there?
Hi, folks. We're back here.
So yeah, Jackknife Jacob's debut match, and no, you might be asking, why did this show survive, right?
Yeah.
When I got rid of everything. The reason we have show 7 complete is because when Charlie left, he asked me if he could have a show to take with him to Omaha.
Yeah.
And so I said, sure, take this. I just handed him one. It was this show. And Charlie kept that tape.
Jerks.
So that's why we have a complete show from this era.
Oh, okay.
So this is Luxury Lane, and that's Jeff Ortell. Jeff Ortell, a tough kid, by the way. Tough kid for that era, that time period. And they were the Luxury
We
Brothers.
don't have no crowd here in the
There was a
studio.
tag team. That's why they got the matching karate suits and everything.
Okay, here
The
comes-
guy coming in there, the big, heavier kid, that's Mark Fisher, Fabulous Fisher.
Charlie Luxury Lane.
Boo. Come on, Luxury Lane, beat him.
See, we don't have no
And
crowd here though. Let's go.
I see
Luxury
Rob
Lane.
Jacobs reffing.
Yeah, Luxury Lane's good.
This must be a singles match because, yeah, it's going to be Luxury Lane against Mark Fisher. And remember when Charlie talks about hurting his
See, there is
ankle
no crowd. That's just well.
on the
Was
stage?
that right here?
Oh, there's a kid
It was
coming
in this show. I don't know if it's this match or his tag match, but yeah, that happens. It was either this match or the tag. We'll have to watch. But you'll see it happen when it does. He gets
what's
his
he doing?
he
Oh,
gets
that's
Mark
arm
flips him
bar.
over and he hits his ankle on right on the edge of
Holy
that stage.
cows.
And he goes hopping off.
Oh, isn't it?
Could be right
Oh,
here. No.
souffle.
But yeah, Mark does a move kind of like that,
Here
and then but
by
Charlie comes
Fabulous
down with his
Fisher.
ankle on the edge of the stage.
He
We'll have to
goes
watch
after
for that.
Ortel.
It's either this match or it's the tag
Okay,
match he
this
has
match,
with
by
these
the way,
guys.
is Fabulous Mark Fisher
Right.
against Charlie Luxury Lane, you might add. Oh, and look at
Jeff
there goes
Ortell interfering. You know, I had a lot of single matches with Jeff Ortell. He really
Oh,
was a
kick to
strong
the
kid.
stomach.
Oh, the old Group W cable studio.
Yeah.
As I've said before, I know it's not in that building anymore, but every time I drive past
Okay.
that building, I still
The
smile.
controversial-
Right, because even though you weren't in this stuff, Dave, you were there for the interviews. All of our interviews we did in the studio were done in Anoka, pretty much. And,
Yep, right there in the Group W studios. And
In this very same
cows.
studio that we're doing this right now. Yep.
Now he's over to the corner.
There was a
ring.
black
Oh,
curtain
Ortell
and there was a
there.
blue curtain. Today we're
Ortell
using the
trying
black
to
one, but
interfere.
we always would switch them around.
He's choking him.
make it look like we were traveling to different areas.
Oh, I kicked right
Yeah.
to the side.
What was nice about the studio too is you had all the studio lights. You don't see them, but they're
That
above
race
us
just
there.
looks like he's hurt now.
Just a whole panel of lights on the ceiling that would
Oh,
illuminate
come
the whole
on.
area really nice.
Right.
Uh,
Actually, the more I think about it, I think Charlie hurts his ankle in the
picture
in the tag match coming up
Luxury Lane, I tell you, he's
later
Travelers Fish is
with
getting
him and
counted
Jeff
out.
Ortel.
Luxurious. He's a
Looks like maybe
taekwondo
somebody's
expert,
messing with
Luxury Lane.
or
He's seen
adjusting the
Jeff Ortel.
lights.
Yeah, they could
There's
be.
a hit
That's
right
not
in
only.
the face.
Though, he
That's
can
probably
take a lot
more
of
in the
power.
control room, yeah, because
We're
that's
having some bad
Luxury Lane.
flickering.
Okay, right out of the ring, folks.
Because it can
Did
adjust
you
the
see
iris and
that?
stuff in the studio,
Luxury Lane's hurt.
Oh, look at that big
trying to
hit.
get the
But like I
right
said,
exposure.
Luxury Lane can take a lot.
Oh, right to the shoulder.
Charlie actually was going through Taekwondo
Oh, he
karate at
missed.
this
He
time,
Missed.
so
Oh, right to
that's
the
why he's
That's
kind
why
of
he had the
right in the neck.
yeah. That's why he likes the karate
know,
gimmick
folks.
right now.
Luxury Lane, you can see
Luxury
he's
Lane
got
might
his-
have
He even
something
talked
in
me
his
into
fingers
going
here,
with
we
him to a
don't
few
know.
lessons.
No, just
So I
been
was in it with
notified
him for a
Luxury
while
Lane's
too.
he broke his
Yeah.
four
But we
fingers
don't know.
on two
Oh, there's
hands.
We were taking those lessons at Carpy's
Like
Court in Anoka.
Ortel's
They
flex.
gave
Luxury
karate
Lane
lessons
broke his
there.
2 fingers. You know Luxury Lane's an
was
expert at
Taekwondo karate.
Look at that kid.
Yep.
Right to the right to the back.
Right in
Well,
the-
Taekwondo
His
is
hand
its
on
own
there.
form of martial
Oh,
arts
right
separate
kick
from
right to the
karate.
side.
Yeah,
Ooh, did you see that kid?
and Charlie's trying to
I
use
don't
as
know.
much as he learned.
Oh, right to the head. Oh my
Ooh,
gosh.
Fisher
folks.
grabbed his foot there. Luxury doesn't look like, he's,
Oh,
he looks
gosh.
pretty hurt.
Oh, now he's coming in
Look,
the
he
ring.
can take a lot of punishment, that Luxury Lane.
Charlie talking about
Oh.
himself.
Now Mark's trying to take them both on.
But
by
yeah,
himself,
we were
folks.
the
Right to
announcers.
wall.
In these days, we didn't do the announcing like
Mark is
in
a
the
big
studio. We'd
man.
just do
Well,
it in
the
the
match-
editing suite.
That he's
Editing
wrestling.
suite, in the early days.
Oh, okay.
Let's get.
So
Like
while
I
we're
say,
editing the show, we're putting
Jeff's hurt
the
down
commentary
As we
over
can-
the
as we
match.
can see.
Well, Ray,
Yeah,
as
I
you
mean,
can see, that
it's
Fisher, he's
amazing
got a
what
lot
we
of
were
weight
able
on
to
him.
pull
He weighs
off
100 and what,
as
52
kids.
pounds?
Yeah, and
I mean,
Yeah.
not to toot our own horns, but
is because of his weight.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
doesn't
mean,
have any
these
rest.
camera operators,
Seems
that's
Luxury
us
Lane's
in
very
these days.
patient of stuff
The
he
control room, the
Yep.
directing, that's us. That's
Too
probably
much.
where I am.
That's
That's why you
true.
don't see me anywhere. I'm
Tom
probably in there directing right now.
Oh, no. Okay.
Um, Yeah, we did all that stuff.
Okay.
Now, eventually, I'd get a
Lane's
crew,
backing
of
up.
other
They wanna get that
volunteers,
weight
access
chamber
volunteers, to do the
once-
control room
once-
and the
there
cameras
it
for
is.
me,
He almost
so I
had
could
him.
we could
Oh,
concentrate
right into
more
the
on the
once
show.
Mark grabs him, you know what's gonna
Right.
happen? He's gonna squeeze Luxury.
But
Luxury just
Yeah,
That
gonna-
came later
Ooh,
on,
kicked
way
him right
well
in
after
the
like we got the
shoulder.
ropes. Guys like Chad
Oh my
Jones, who's
gosh.
come on here before,
Folks.
he was one of my volunteers in the beginning.
Boy, that
Right.
can take a lot of punishment.
That's
But, you know-
Look at that guy, man. He's just huge.
Granted, yes, my time was brief with the NWF,
He's made it in here, folks.
but like I said, not to toot our own horns, but
Oh my
toot. I mean,
Folks, listen.
Look at Ortel get in there.
I dare anybody
He's
nowadays
a
to
big
try
man,
and pull
that
something like
Ortel.
this off.
He can take a lot of
At the
punishment,
age-
too. The
That's in the
bull
age bracket that we were in.
You don't know how much I wish they would, Dave. I really want to see it again. I want to see kids. I want to see. I wish kids would have the drive like we had, right?
That's what I'm
Where they-
saying.
Right, doesn't
Yeah, where they
Luxury
just
Lane
do
looks-
it.
Look pretty good at karate. and
Love to
stuff?
see it. I really encourage
I
it
mean,
too.
that kid can kick. But that Fisher,
I'd
I
love to
tell
see
you,
it happen
he's
again.
got a lot of weight on him. It's hard.
Nothing would make me
Lane's
more
gonna bleed from
proud
the
to see
nose.
that happen
Yeah.
again, actually, Dave.
Oh my
But
God.
like you said,
Oh, look at-
it's
wow.
just a
Oh,
different
right.
era and
No, I
generation,
don't know, but
and
maybe Luxury Lane isn't
and then you
really
got the whole
something that they-
helicoptering, bubble protective parents these
Yeah,
days that
maybe.
You
just
never know, folks.
I don't know if they'd ever let their
He's got
kids
a leg on
try
him.
to do this
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh,
thing.
There's a pin. Oh,
Right. I mean, I know
Shoulders up though, Ray. You can
when
see
I
it on
was
one
around
side.
this age, I was
Ooh, he kicked him. Look at that
Yeah.
karate.
I was taking airplanes to Florida by myself. I was
Oh, there we go.
But did you see
You know,
Luxury
to
Lane kick him in the midsection?
visit my father,
Yeah.
Ooh,
taking Greyhound buses, responsible for making sure I made all my own connections.
Bad now.
Yeah.
Ooh, right
He's out
in
of the
the
ring.
head.
And nowadays, I know parents won't even let their kids take a Greyhound bus
Look
from.
at Luxury Lane.
Oh, now he's back.
Oh,
You know,
my
part of that,
gosh.
Dave, is the way
Fisher
is because of how our society has changed too.
Fisher's
You know,
gone
it's
down
just
where he
Right.
was.
The 100
Could it be? Could it be? Could the
just a
belt
different
change?
era.
147
you know.
pounds on him.
Exactly.
Lane. Ooh, grabbing him
Um,
by the
What,
ears.
he was pulling his hair there. The ref didn't see it.
So yeah, Luxury Lane still with us at this
Luxury Lane
point.
can kick.
Hasn't moved to Omaha yet.
Taekwondo, Korean karate.
An interesting fact to hear too. This is the first show.
folks.
So
Look at Luxury.
we were on like a
Look at Luxury.
3-week
You take a lot of
delay of
pictures.
not making any shows because me and Charlie got
Take
into a
lot of
fight
punishment, I can tell ya.
off the show,
Oh, he's getting scared.
Right.
as kids do, right? We were not talking to each other for 3 weeks between our last show, show number 6, and this show. This is the first one. And honestly, at the time, I thought the show was done. But it was Milton Warner, one of the kids on our show, he's a year older than me, but he was on the show, and he's not on this show, but he's in the editing room with us.
Look at this.
But it was Milton that said, came up to me in the Holiday gas station, I'll never forget it, on Main Street in Anoka, and I happened to run into Milton, and he's like, how come we're not doing shows right now? And I said, well, me and Charlie, we got in a fight, and we're just not talking. He goes,
Oh my gosh.
well, that's stupid. He goes, you know, that show was pretty cool. You and Charlie need to make up and start doing that show again, because that was pretty special.
What a brawl.
Right.
Milton kind of like kicked me in the tail and said, make it happen. It was Milton Warner that pushed me to the point where to see what he was saying, you know, and
Some of his own medicine.
so I did. I made amends with Charlie, and next thing you know, we're doing shows again.
And believe it or not, that holiday is still, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's still there.
Yeah, it's right there on Main Street, right past the Anoka Drug, where the Anoka Drug used to be.
Look at him kick Fisher.
Oh, you're talking about the one down there.
Yeah, it's on the west side of Maine, close to
Yep.
Highway 10.
Oh,
Oh, I was talking about the one up,
folks, his mouth is hurt.
up on 10.
Yeah.
No,
That is gonna be some severe-
Yeah, they're both still there.
Picked him up.
What
Yeah.
a big man. What? Whoa, I don't believe this. Oh, look at that.
Oh, he did his shoulder
Look
hit.
at that. Boy, was that some. Now look at Fisher.
Ooh, kicked him.
You know, it's the best we had, you know, that we could do. So what we're basically, we're doing our matches, we're keeping our characters together, we just don't have any ropes, and we're still very,
Could it be a pin, folks?
very
Unpolished.
raw with unpolished. In fact, we got guys in the control room in the editing room right now. Anytime somebody hits somebody, they're just clapping to make the noise, or hitting their fists like this to make the noise. If you listen close, you'll hear it.
I don't believe it.
Luxury Lane's got him in the head.
Oh,
Look at that. He's squeezing. Oh, he's hitting him right in the.
Can you hear that?
Yep.
Somebody's making that
my
noise.
God,
They're not always on with the timing, but
Could this be it? 2 counts.
just
folks.
different
Only
things
2
we were
counts.
trying, you know, trying to find our way in how to
He's trying to get that.
you know, do
He's
things.
trying to beat Fisher.
Well, as I said, this is the infancy of the NWF.
Oh, look at this, folks.
Yeah, it was just the
Lane's
early,
back in the ring.
you know, concepts and early days of
Fisher, be paying
just,
attention,
you
but
know.
no.
Luxury
He
Lane
looks
at
the
his
way.
stance.
Some of these characters I wish we would have had stick around. Mark Fisher kind of,
Ooh, did you see
I think his last appearance was the show 25. He was on one of our shows where we had the ropes in the studio. He made a, he had been gone for quite a while, but he made a guest appearance because that was our 25th show anniversary. And so Mark came back for that. But Fisher only didn't really stick around. Jeff Ortell is another one that kind of only stuck around through the first maybe 10 shows.
the winner, Luxury Lane? Yeah.
Jim Benson was,
There it is.
Yeah.
you know, throughout most of these days until we got the ropes. That's when he kind of went.
Yeah, Luxury Lane.
Yep.
Woo.
And there's a lot of guys that came on to the show in these early days. Now, Campa wasn't here for this taping, so there's no Todd Campa on this one. But Campa was with us from the very beginning.
Right.
When I'm not around, you make the crowd because Crusher Cross is in there. See?
And there he is.
Crusher Cross must be jealous of Luxury
Mark
Lane.
Mark had a temper though, Mark Fisher, and you'll see that come out here in some of these later on matches on this show. So now it's the Luxury Brothers. This is where Charlie hurts his ankle, actually, where he gets slammed on the edge of the stage and his ankle hits that stage. It's in this match. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Woohoo! Luxury Brothers, look at
I'm guessing the Luxury Brothers do quite a bit on this show.
And they're going against Jackknife Jacob and Jim Benson.
Jackknife Jacob and
Jackknife beat him. Boo.
Jackknife Jacob and Jim Benson will be their opponents to go against
Jackknife.
Luxury Lane and
I hear Milton Warner in that make-believe crowd that we got going on there with us in the editing suite. I can hear it's Milton, Charlie, and
folks, the winner of
there's
this
somebody
match
else in
will
there
face
too, and I can't make out who it is.
the Destruction Masters for the belt title.
Well, I'm sure Crusher Cross
Come
was
on,
in that
let's go.
editing
Beat
booth.
Yeah.
Beat him, Ortel.
Let's kill him, Ortel. Oh, look at that, folks. Ortel in there. Oh, look at
And
this.
Jeff Ortel
Look
was
at
actually Milton Warner's cousin.
this is
They were
something.
Oh,
cousins.
okay.
Look at that, Ortel.
Milton
He's a
doesn't,
powerful man,
like I
but
said,
that
Milton
Benson,
doesn't
he
make an
takes a lot of
appearance on this
punishment.
Oh,
taping.
right to the stomach. Look at that.
He's just in the editing room with us.
Oh my gosh, Ortel definitely must have some background wrestling skills in this.
Yeah, Charlie was more the karate guy. Jeff was just the wrestler guy in the karate suit.
Okay, folks.
Luxury Lane's got him. Look at Luxury Lane. But Benson's starting to pick him up. Benson's
Oh, look at
picking him
this.
up.
They're both
I
in
don't
there,
see a
folks.
referee here,
Jackknife
Dave.
Jacob gets involved.
Oh.
I don't
There's a
either.
jackknife in there. Holy cows. Oh, right outside the ring.
Right? Yes.
And what is?
Kicked
Oh.
him. Jackknife.
Oh, look at that. Right from the behind.
Yes.
Oh.
You hear those sound effects we're making?
Oh my god.
Yep.
What's happening here? Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh. Oh, kick. Okay, Benson looks ready here, folks. Jackknife Jacob continually coming in. Ref we might get informed on a disqualification of this.
It'd be kind of good if Jackknife could hit him.
That was Milton. That was Milton Warner. It'd be kind of good if Jackknife could hit him, because Jackknife was missing by a mile on some of those.
Luxury Lane
Yep.
blocked it, as you've seen. Ooh, look at Luxury Lane.
Oh, right now he's outside the ring. Oh. Oh my gosh.
Look
Folks,
at
I don't
Luxury
believe
Lane.
this.
He's
This
really
is
wasting. He tagged off. What a smooth tag.
Oh.
Luxury
down to
Lane
the
and
ground.
Ortel have a
Oh,
lot
and the
of
Benson
fans.
coming in. Was there a tag? I didn't see a tag.
But yeah, again, folks, this was a
Benson try.
Boy, this is exciting.
Oh,
Ortel
folks,
Park.
this was a request by one of our users or one of our
He's a
Facebook
taekwondo
group
expert
members and
himself.
YouTube
Ooh, they
subscribers,
say, "Here
and
comes
so
Luxury Lane." Now, he is-
anytime you guys request certain
my
shows, we will
goodness,
put them in our kind of our queue
I
to
don't believe this,
watch
folks.
them.
Oh,
Right.
And
oh my gosh.
this is one of the
Luxury Lane's
only
going
shows we
wild
have
with
that's
that Benson.
complete
That was
from
something else,
the
folks.
early days.
Why don't you wrestle instead of kick?
There's a crowd. Did you hear that, folks?
Yeah, we have a pretty big crowd here today.
Come on, Luxury Lane. Come
quiet,
on,
too.
beat him.
And again, oh, I guess I can take, I didn't realize I still had this up, that banner. We don't need that on the whole time.
Well, you were just letting everybody know which episode it was.
Yeah.
You always sissy kick
Show
like
number
that.
7.
Look at this.
So we haven't went to the Twin Cities Wrestling
Oh my, Jim
Association
Benson has
yet.
to be out of it.
Come on,
So it's
Luxury
still the
Drivers,
Kids
get
Quad
up.
Cities.
Woo! And look at this. Is it a pin? Is it a pin?
Oh my gosh, look at this, folks.
But yeah, some of the guys who made their debut in this era, like with no ropes, were like guys like Mike
We just heard,
Rudnick
from,
and Heath
one
Peterson.
of the people in the control
So
room,
muscular
I'm not
Mike
sure.
Rudnick, Heath
But
Payne
we heard
Peterson,
it there.
Keith
at
Wiltermuth,
Lane's taking off.
Wild
Luxury
Wiltermuth, I think he
Lane.
called himself.
Well, that you heard it. Next person somebody muffs up. That's gonna be. a
There have been others too that
disqualification.
were like these
Look at
that I don't
Luxury
even
Lane.
remember
Look at
because I don't have
that.
the tapes
Oh,
anymore, that were like
look.
one-offs. They
Oh,
came on for
Luxury
one
Lane
show
could
and they
take
were
a lot.
gone.
He can really
Right.
Oh my
punish
god.
You know, we had a
Well,
number
to be
of those.
honest, I think when I debuted, everybody thought I was going to be a one-off, but
Oh,
Well, there's so many kids that would come for one show or two shows, and then you'd never see or hear them again.
Jacob trying to get his karate in there.
I called them
Jacob
one
did a
and
little karate
dones.
himself.
Yeah, I just figured it was either they didn't too, you know, maybe they came in some of that shoot stuff and it was too much and too intense for them, or they just couldn't handle it. It was too much, or it was too rough, or whatever the case, or they just didn't like it.
Ooh. Oh my
But most
gosh.
people liked it because they like most people that came on, even if they're one and dones, were wrestling fans. They wanted to. They
He
wanted
missed.
to.
Right.
He's missing.
ducking.
What's
Look
gonna
at
happen?
Ortel.
Look at that.
Who's Benson?
You know, Benson's like a rubber band.
He is.
He is all over. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, Jim Benson.
Look at that.
I think really Jim Benson was only really doing it because Rob wanted him there. They were really good
He
friends.
has a poor winning.
But Jim wasn't so much. I mean, he was just there to at Rob's request, but he takes a beating in some of this stuff. He gets thrown right out of there.
Oh, look at
Yeah, remember, it's still a concrete floor and it's still a hardwood stage, so.
Exactly. I mean,
Lane, man.
the amazing thing is we didn't have more injuries back in days like.
Right.
Gosh, did you see that?
Yeah, this is not the match where Charlie hurts his ankle because it's with Mark Fisher, so it's. I think it's the last match we have on the show where that happens.
What's it gonna be?
That I remember, because it was. I know it was Mark Fisher that did it.
Right.
Oh, folks.
This is.
But Rob's still trying to figure out his character. He's brand new right now. This is his first show as Jackknife Jacobs. Still trying to kind of figure out who Jackknife's gonna be. Trying to kind of find a style
This is
for him.
exciting, folks. I tell you, Ortel and Luxury Lane are quite a take.
And that's one thing that can take a while, you know, just figure out your character.
Yeah. I mean, look at Ace when he was on with us last week. He's, you know, in his mind, he never really got there, and he was on it for a whole year, and he's still trying to kind of figure out who Ace really was.
Yep.
I think Ace did find his character, though, honestly, from what I remember. But it was like halfway through his reign where he kind of settled into the Ace gimmick.
Right.
Did you see that block? Luxury Lane can-
You know, I said that his, you know, Ace's style was kind of a Nick Bockwinkel, Ric Flair combination as far as his character, his attitude. You know, cocky yet confident
Right in the back, like, it
Right.
never painful.
is the best way to describe how Andrew's character became, you know, towards the end of his run.
Luxury Lane's hurt.
Holy cows.
Benson just.
But yeah, it was
right now. Ouch.
some people were, you know, might think, well, why did you do shoot title matches like with Andrew in that 85? What was the purpose of that? And it was because people were saying it wasn't fair that I was deciding who's the champion, so it was my way of thinking, okay, we'll make it fair then.
Some right in the face. Luxury Lane nailed
Beat me
it.
and uncrown me.
Oh, right across.
Yeah, so whoever wins wins.
Not like Jackknife.
I don't think so,
That you know,
Tim.
at 14 years old it sounded good, or 15, whatever I was. But looking back in hindsight, it probably wasn't the best way to go.
Luxury Brothers.
In fact, it
Right.
wasn't the best way to go. But it made for some interesting matches. That's for sure.
You hear the bell, folks.
Kicking
And
well.
Some intense matches,
there's the music,
Are the
folks.
best. Yeah, Luxury Brothers. Woo!
of course.
You know, I could just imagine. I can think of a match
Woo, Luxury Brothers.
within my era
They're the best.
that was kind of a shoot, but it wasn't truly a shoot.
Well, okay, here comes the luxury.
That could have been very interesting if it was a shoot.
And the Luxury Brothers won the match on a
And that was you and Thandar.
Luxury
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah, me and Tim Holland. It was a rough match. On the border of being a shoot.
They are cool people.
Right.
Look at those guys.
And now they.
And it was a shoot in that we didn't. I don't know if we decided who was going to win that or
Okay,
not.
here we are. We're back here with Ray Johnson.
I think we did agree we're going to go to the time limit.
Okay, this I'm pretty sure is our title defense.
But how we were going to get there, that wasn't figured out.
Right.
Okay, folks.
Well, I mean,
So-
I remember back when
Okay.
Rattlesnake Jake and I won the
This will
national
be
tag
painful. I
titles.
just got informed, folks.
Who is
Uh,
this? Who is it?
We were pretty much just told,
I don't know, but I just got informed now.
let's do a figure four finish.
The Luxury Brothers
Dixie,
are eligible
you come in and body slam the Invader to make the save on the figure four, and
Crossen,
Yeah.
Woo! Crusher.
There he is, folks. There he is.
And even Crusher Crossen was still trying to figure out
Philippines.
his gimmick.
Who he
I mean,
was.
this look at this look. Had this goofy headband.
Crusher
I don't know
Crossen.
where I got that white what looks like a tuxedo part of a suit and the white gloves and everything. Those knee pads cut off.
Mike Ackerman. Oh, and there's Mike
Ah,
Ackerman, folks.
I don't know what I was thinking. Couldn't tell you.
He'll be going against Crusher Crossen for the
Mike
title
Ackerman,
defense.
go fly to
Gee,
your
that leather
Mike
sure looks
Ackerman,
stiff on that belt.
boo. Big Boss Ackerman, boo.
Oh, and there's your ref
Yep.
there,
Those
Jeff
those
Martel.
the world title back then was just a tinfoil belt.
He is our referee.
Ackerman,
And that's
go
Merciless
fly.
Mike Ackerman
Kite Ackerman.
getting a title shot here.
Woo! Crusher Crossen, beat him, kill him.
Yeah, me and Mike had a pretty long-running feud in the early days when he first came on, and up till this match was
Okay,
pretty.
so
A
come on.
lot of matches with
Beat him,
Mike.
Crusher.
Why pull up
We
your
kind of have like 50-50 crowd here.
So I just pulled that thing off. I think this is just stuff I found
You don't have no muscle.
that my
Come on,
older sisters had and their boyfriends and stuff, and I just
Okay,
took
we
it and
should
used
see a
it. I
pretty
don't know
fair
where these
fight
gloves
here,
came from.
folks.
But that shirt, that half cut off shirt,
Ooh,
I used
Dave,
that
we're
for
having some
all the way
contests
through
here, I tell you,
86.
It's getting kind of out of hand.
Okay,
Even in
now
these
we're
early
showing
days.
us to keep
And
things
before you
going.
guys that are from other more modern
Okay,
times,
Crusher
yes,
Crossen's gonna
in
take any more of this
1984,
Mr. Mac around. I don't know
those
what
shorts
Ackerman's
were the
so
style.
about. This is his third title
I'm
defense.
sure
He
that
doesn't
the new
deserve it.
generation are thinking, what are you guys wearing those shorts for like that? They didn't have baggy long shorts in these
Did you
days.
see that?
Holy cows, now Ackerman's down. Here comes Crusher Crossen. Oh, right under the back. Right into the mat. Holy cows.
He's grabbing his foot. Look at that.
He's pulling him out. Oh.
Interesting, I'm wrestling
He's doing
barefoot.
tailbone.
They're having a comment with the ref.
Notice I'm wrestling barefoot, Dave?
Pushes the
Ooh.
ref.
Yeah.
I think we did quite. I mean, we were wearing socks usually too, but yeah, so it's just the same as
We got a
barefoot. But
pin
yeah, I
here.
don't know,
The ref
barefoot.
is not in the
The early
ring.
days.
There should be a. Where? Come on, ref. He's pinned. Oh no.
The ref is, yeah, I know. Crusher would have won there.
And those hairdos we got
Oh,
back then,
looks
man,
like
it just
Crusher
brings
hurt his
back
knee.
the 80s, you know?
Oh. Whoa.
Nice. Did you see that, folks?
That must have hurt. And there's Jackknife Jacob, I noticed back there.
Look at Crusher running around.
I'd do anything to have that youth again, though.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Out of the ring.
That youth, that energy.
Where's he
Yeah.
going?
Man,
He's
who
going
wouldn't,
everywhere.
right?
Oh, chair, folks.
That goes for all of
There's
us
a chair.
watching.
You got the chair. Look at this. Oh.
Now we're
We're still pretty
Well,
delicate with the. I was gonna say, David, I didn't mean to
Yes.
cut you off, but we're still kind of delicate with the chairs. If we use the chairs, we're not going crazy with them.
Yep.
It was Brian Peterson that started that heavy hit chair hitting stuff.
Oh, right under the mat. Now
Jeff
you-
Ortel,
you
very
got another
aggressive
Ken.
referee in
Yeah,
this.
let you in.
Boy, these.
He's not afraid to push either one of us
Okay.
around in this if we get out of line.
Holy cows. Crusher's down on the ground. Here's Ackerman.
That crowd loves Crusher. Well, Crusher Crossen's getting hurt. Ackerman's fighting back at Crusher.
Charlie, you know, he
Crusher can take.
even
a
though
lot of
we're all
punishment.
friends, if you listen to Lane commentating, he
Yeah, that's
really
true.
sides with.
Boy, I
He-
tell you,
he
this is
doesn't
a
like-
50-50 match. I don't know who's gonna win.
He doesn't. He gets on
I don't
Ackerman's
either.
case.
Looks like Crusher has advantage, I would definitely say.
Yes.
His moves, he's quick. Ackerman has a weight advantage, you can say.
I guess we could add that, but okay. Let's look at a roundhouse hit.
Oh, the wind up.
Goes right into
Yeah,
mat.
the wind up.
That must have hurt, folks.
So, like I said, there was a lot of pressure on me in this match, and that's what we'll see in the end here. What happens?
Boy, you can
And then I'll
hear
tell you
this
what
from
kind of
all
pressure I'm
around.
talking about, and what was going on.
Oh,
He catches it. Crusher does.
You really had to watch your knees and stuff when you got thrown back onto this stage or whatever. You hit your knee on the edge of that stage, it hurts. It's like solid wood.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, what's this? Oh,
I mean,
right out the ring.
Yeah, think about it, Dave. We're in there doing all these wild wrestling moves and stuff, and we got a very sharp edge around this whole stage that we have to contend with. And it's amazing Charlie was the only one that ever got
Look
hurt
at
that way.
Crossan goes after
you
that
know?
jackknife Jacob.
Ooh, he pushes the ref out. Crusher's mad. He's nailing Mike. You see that, folks? He is hitting Mike like heck.
Not a lot of room
Oh
on
my
that stage
gosh.
either, really, honestly.
The
It's,
body splash. Now watch. What's this gonna be?
what about 8 by 10?
well, a little bit longer than 10. Let's see, those things,
Oh my gosh.
definitely 8, because it was a 8 foot the one direction, but I want to say 8 by 12.
Literally out of control.
Okay.
Oh, he missed.
Yeah, because it's probably a 4 by 8 sheet of plywood on each one, and there's 4 sections.
Oh, Ackerman goes for the pin. The ref is not in the ring.
So it looks like we both got pins that never got counted.
We could have had a change of belts there, folks, but the ref was definitely not looking. Oh,
The table. So there you go, folks. Proof right there. The NWF was the first to start using tables in wrestling. Only we didn't go through the table. We put the table through you.
I tell you,
Ackerman
folks.
must be hurt. He must be.
I'm just tongue-in-cheek there.
Oh, Crusher.
Oh yeah.
knows
Well,
what
you know,
side.
it's like we said, the NWF was
I
first at a
know
lot
who's
of
gonna win
things.
this. I got
Right, but not quite. You know, it's obviously two different kind of tables.
I don't know. It's pretty 50-50. Ackerman, he's taking a
I'm
lot
just
of
joking.
punishment.
yeah, but Crusher's, you know, he's quick.
Oh, the leg smash.
Boy, folks, you can hear that thump all around.
The inspiration by Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah, he hurt his leg all right, Tim. Look at that.
Yeah, you can see my Hulk Hogan influence big time in my character at this point in time. Like,
Holy
when you
cows.
watch this
Oh,
match, it's
Ackerman,
just I do a lot of Hulk Hogan,
It's
even though I'm not anywhere near the size of him.
1.5.
Even as a kid. But
Right.
the way I'm acting, the way the whole comebacks and all that stuff,
Did you?
very very much Hogan-like, you know.
Oh, you hurt. Listen
And that's
to it.
just Mike needs to hit me though. He's missing me on half of these.
Oh,
And I was telling him, Mike, just slap me,
Where did he get hit?
you know.
my
Then he
gosh,
finally
folks.
starts hitting
Look at
me.
that, folks.
Oh.
He is just
Oh.
getting brutally beat on Crusher. Crusher's in a position
Look at
where
this, folks. He's
Here comes the Hulk up.
Crusher's in
Yeah.
a position where he
He's
doesn't
getting
know
mad.
where he is.
Oh, he's getting mad.
Ooh, he fights
That we
back.
just as
He's
kids we
gonna-
loved watching that with Hogan. That was the big, you know, that whole comeback thing was so.
Boy, did he come back?
It was why you were a Hulk Hogan fan, you know. And this was the AWA Hulk I'm talking about.
That'd be a pleasure.
Right.
But we've
That's because that's the guy that me and Charlie watched in the
We
beginning.
don't want to get into that too much.
Exactly.
We only-
Yeah.
Oh, right into
Where it
the
was
stomach.
probably a year later when I got into
Boy,
wrestling.
that,
And
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hogan had already
This
went
is
to the
close.
WWF
This is
and everything.
Definitely close. I don't know
Yep.
who's gonna win here.
And when Hogan jumped ship, that's where I still liked Hulk,
I tell you,
but
Crusher,
I felt he abandoned the AWA, and that really bothered me.
tell the speed and the-
And then I kind of started
He has
getting
the
more
advantage,
influenced
but I don't
on
know
by
about
like
this
Jim
Mexican
Brunzell
Mike
and
here.
Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So I kind of
You think
morphed
his
into
weight
their
advantage
kind of
might just-
style
Oh, and a
later
kick
on.
right to the
You know, the
midsection.
drop
Right.
kick, for
Down.
instance. And
Oh, he misses.
missed.
That could be painful
There was
right
a-
on the corner.
It was an attempt to make a flying body splash, but he missed.
And that's famous from Matt Denny, Mark Fisher, the body splash.
Yes,
they
sir.
made that one.
They made the move happen.
They are, Matt and Mark are brilliant people, but Crusher, let's get back with him.
Whoa! Oh,
did
my
you
God.
yeah,
see
that whole little
that?
flip
Oh,
thing
no.
and back onto the stage was a
Injured.
common move. I remember doing that a lot in these days when we didn't have the ring
I think we
ropes.
just, I don't know, folks.
Ackerman,
Oh, they're.
I was going to say, Merciless Mike took off his shirt.
where's the
Crusher's
Yeah.
in trouble.
Looks like fat to me.
Charlie getting on Mike's case.
Oh, look at this.
Uh,
It looked like you were trying
the-
to go for a. Let's round.
Crusher.
Oh. 3. Wait a minute.
Yep, at 3 count.
Like he was
And
up.
for the first time, I lost that belt on the show.
We have a new Quad Cities champion,
Ackerman,
folks.
go home.
We have a
So I
new
said there was
Quad
pressure.
Cities
I had
wrestling
all the guys
champion.
on my case saying,
Mike
you need to lose the
Ackerman
belt.
is the new
You gotta give somebody else a shot with it now. So I had everybody on the show demanding that I really need to give another person,
Boo Ackerman.
you know, the chance to be the champion.
Right.
Get it completed.
So I figured, okay, well then I'll do it with Mike, because Mike and I had a kind of a long running feud that makes sense to do it with him.
Ackerman, go home and lift.
And-
weights,
And
maybe
then there was the storyline of you coming back and beating him. You know.
Right, but I don't beat Mike for this belt in this. Mike eventually loses this to Jackknife Jacob.
Oh, okay.
Then I beat Jacob. So they present the belt to him. Now I come in, and Jeff tries to keep me away from Mike. Like I said, Jeff was a very pushy kid. He was strong and he would use his.
He was
But
another.
But we have a little
I wanted to
music
do is I just
and
wanted. This is my face turn. I was a heel all this time,
There's
Dave.
Merciful Mike Ackerman out there, and Tim.
Right.
And this is where I finally turned to babyface, and I kind of did the whole Hogan Ultimate Warrior deal before they did it.
Crusher.
You know,
Yes,
Hogan
sir.
did the same thing with the
Looks
Ultimate
like
Warrior.
We're friends, folks. I don't know why Crusher would want to
Yeah,
be friends.
Mike Ackerman, you're the best. Woo, Mike.
Okay, here we back here. Me and Ray Johnson here. And okay.
Yeah, so this is the final match, and it's basically a
We're getting ready for the 5-man tag here.
a 5-man tag.
Merciful Mike Ackerman. And there he is.
And notice we called him Merciful Mike Ackerman. He was going by Merciful, and it was his brother who said, "Mike, you realize your name means full of mercy."
Those little wimps.
So then Mike realized he's got to change it to Merciless. Not quite realizing the terminology he was using there.
Oh, here they are.
So yeah,
Crossen
me,
and
Ackerman, and Fisher,
Merciful Mike Ackerman
and we go
and
against the
Red
Luxury Brothers.
Fabulous Mark Fisher.
Ah.
Crusher.
This is
And this is where Charlie hurts his ankle that he always talks about.
People at this moment, and we are live.
So we'll have to watch for that when that happens.
Okay, folks, and yes, sir, we're getting ready. For
I'll
the
keep an eye on it
five-man
and
tag. As
call
we
it out
did
when
tell
it
you,
comes.
It would have been the 8-man
'Cause I remember
tag.
the move Mark does. And
Due to problems and all that, we have to make it down to a 5-man tag. So it'll be this 3 men against the one, the only, the Luxury Brothers. Woo! And here they are, folks.
I'm guessing that was Charlie hyping himself.
Oh, yeah.
Merciful. Well, I tell you, we're gonna have a brawl.
Notice that his Charlie's fingers all taped up with
Tim.
bandages and stuff. What happened was he and I went to the I forget what lake it was up there in Coon Rapids or Andover somewhere, and got into some stuff in the lake. I think it might have been poison ivy, and Charlie got it all over his fingers, so he had to have medicine on it and have his fingers wrapped up.
You can beat 'em. Come on, Ortel and Luxury Lane. You can waste.
That's what the story is about breaking the finger.
We're gonna have a brawl.
Yeah.
One heck of a brawl here.
Stinks. Same with Mike Ackerman and Mark Fisher. Boo.
You know, me and Ortel had a lot of intense matches. I remember that.
Woo, Luxury Brothers. Woo.
I like doing matches with him though.
Come on, Luxury Brothers. You can beat 'em.
Jeff actually
Sorry,
wanted
we
the
got a
match
review,
to
so
be
this
in,
might interesting
to
between
have a
Crossen
very
and
intense
Lane.
feel to it, and I
As
had no
we see on
problem
the
with
review
that.
show, we had some pretty bad disputes. Come on, Luxury Brothers.
You can see Jeff's doing some taekwondo.
Also, Jeff gets a chair shot in this match too that I think kind of hurts. He kind of goes down and you hear him kind of whimpering away after getting hit with this chair pretty good and hard, and then he pops up and he's okay, but we all thought it was funny as kids, but you know, it's always funny when somebody gets hurt when you're a kid.
Oh, they're both hurt there, folks. They both got stunned. Jeff up.
As you see, Fisher
Whoa.
and Lane are having some comments in the background.
You heard Lane with his one and only.
No, it'll be interesting to see who wins
like
this
it.
match.
You know, I don't even remember.
Got a lot of fans out
So
there.
yeah, it will be
Same with
interesting to
Crusher
see.
and all those
Yeah, we have
all
a
those-
50-50 crowd here today, I tell you.
Yeah.
Look at this, folks.
Well, my thing is, what I'm saying is, will Crusher lose twice in one episode?
Back
You
there.
see that Luxury Lane's out.
Luxury
Crusher.
Lane's in.
Fisher's out.
What is that, Dave? What happened?
Anoka, Minnesota.
Well, I was just saying, will Crusher lose twice in one episode?
Lane with his highly.
See, you always think I never put anybody over, right? Well, I remember when you're a 5-time champion, that means you lost it 5 times.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at this. Some problems.
No, I'm not saying you wouldn't put people over. I'm just,
And look at
to
this.
me, it would be shocking to see you lose twice in one show.
Oh, look at
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't remember, honestly.
Marks in the blue. Oh!
Luxury Lane
there it
really
is,
got
right
hurt
there.
folks. They had
That's
to
where
rush him to the-
Charlie got his ankle on that stage, and he's hot. You see him hop by the camera,
People,
and Jeff's like,
this
"What
is
happened?"
no
He didn't.
lie.
He's like, "Luxury," he yelled out. And
Luxury Lane's left.
Luxury Lane really got hurt. That's not fake. He
We just
really
got notified. We just got
it's not.
notified. He is-
It
he's
wasn't
going to the
fake.
hospital.
Charlie's not lying.
No lie. He really got hurt. He slammed his leg on the edge really hard.
That's exactly what happened.
We're live at Group W Cable.
Kind of surprised that never happened more often. See Mark is very yeah, Mark was very aggressive.
This is pretty. It's kind of really.
Mark's the one in the blue there.
Yep.
We got 3 against 1 here. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Ray, it looks like Crusher and Ackerman.
Oh, a chair. Look at that. A
Ray.
chair.
Ray, it looks like Crusher and Ackerman.
Oh, he hit us.
Looks like Crusher and Ackerman are cheating. Same with Fisher, because they're all 3 going against Ortel, and that's pretty tough. Ortel's keeping up with them though.
Yes, sir. This is definitely turning into one heck of a brawl.
Luxury Lane, he really got hurt though, folks. It's not fake.
He's on his way to the hospital. He had one heck of a leg problem.
And for anybody
Time to
just
let-
joining in, of course,
Apparently, from what we know now,
this is
like to view the tape to
TV
find out
Taping
for
7
sure.
from Group W
Hit
Cable
his
on
leg
July
on
3rd,
the
1984,
mat
as
open here.
requested.
But he did not break it.
And
Really bruised.
probably the
it.
earliest show
Well,
we
I think
have.
should call out the match, 'cause this
Ah,
is
that
just
we
Right.
really confusing.
It
There's
is.
That's a full show.
all 3 men in there at one
And that's
time.
thanks to
Look at
Charlie
that,
Lane.
folks.
He
It's
wanted to
square,
tape when he
isn't it?
moved to Omaha, and he asked,
Oh my
"Can I
gosh,
take
look
some
at
a tape to
face.
remember the show?" And I
Oh,
gave him
this
this one
Yippee.
because I recorded over all the other earlier shows because
He's left the set.
I didn't want to remember this
we gotta watch
era
closely
at the
and make sure
time
we
because
can
it didn't
catch all
have
the
ropes.
Right.
The ref's trying
You
to
know,
there's
just
Fisher.
a
Oh, look at
naive
this,
way of
folks.
thinking when you're a young kid.
Ooh.
Today, I wished I would have kept every single bit of it. You know?
As they say, hindsight.
Well, what is Fisher doing? He's grabbing a
So
belt.
I don't think Charlie's returned yet,
he's
has he?
hitting him with a belt.
Yeah.
This
His
match
ankle
is
was
out of
hurting.
control.
So we're all just ganging up on Ortel, but Ortel's handling himself because, like I said, he was a strong kid.
Oh.
Jacob, the referees even.
And,
this match should be called
even though
off.
we're
What do you
just
say, Ryan?
most
I
of
think
this
it
is
should.
working.
The ref,
I mean, it's a
don't know what
work.
he's doing in there, but he should.
But there is some there. You can see the physicalness of some of this, though.
Merciful Mike Ackerman.
You know, yeah, it was a work, but still, there's some
Holy cow.
shoves and pushes and pretty physicalness to it as well.
Just putting on
you know.
Crossen's headband.
And Ortel puts my headband
Yeah,
on.
this is
I
really
love it.
confusing. I don't know what
I
to say.
tell you, it is. We don't know what's going on here. We think it should be called off.
It should. I
Look at
agree.
Fisher just.
Okay. My gosh. I don't know what to say. Oh, there's. Ooh, look at this.
Oh my God.
Two-man-
They getting wild.
There we are. Jim, can we get some? This is getting out of control here.
He's taking a chair full.
Oh, watch this. Watch Jeff get hit with the chair.
Oh, did you hear that?
Oh my God. Ray, get some information here. He's hurt, folks.
He got hit in the head. That
He got
was
tapped. A little hard. But he pops up. He's over
In
it.
the world.
You heard it, folks. It was
Oh my
real.
gosh. All did he that I don't know what to crush across and not knowing what's going on. Oh, look at right across the ring. Now he's mad, folks. You hear the official decision. The match has been called, folks.
The match has been called.
It's all over. The match.
Yeah, one of those AWA decisions again, Dave. Mass disqualification. I remember them doing that in 6-man tags at the Civic Center when things
The
got out
match
of
has
control.
been called. We got that.
And Crusher just hit the referee.
Come on,
That's
Luxury
a-
Lane.
Not a very baby-faced move,
Jacob,
Crusher.
boy,
Luxury Lane.
We need-
want Luxury Lane.
I'm gonna call the security here.
We want Luxury
Oh, yeah.
Lane.
Mark,
Security is coming, folks. This is definitely out of control.
Mark and his temper, man. I remember.
Cable.
Live at Group W Cable, folks. And there's
Ooh, they're
still
getting out of
controversy
hand.
going on. Get the security. Ray, Tim, will you call security? Let's get some business here. This is getting out of control.
It sure
What in
is.
the- Jim,
Look at, they're even going after the ref.
get this button pressed. What is this? Where is the security? How come we can't?
That's that white wall. I think that's where we used to do the interviews at.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah, I mean, there
pardon
was-
me, but we have really got some trouble here.
I mean, those white walls were behind all these curtains, so it could have been any one of them walls.
There's so
Yep.
many bells going off right now.
We're trying to let them know here that the match is over. If they could get it through their head, evidently they can't, folks.
Well, you know, sometimes even though you hear the bell,
This has definitely gone out.
you
of
still
control.
want to keep going.
Yeah, this
Everybody's
match
going
just
after
doesn't want to end.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, there's a
Jacob
chair.
threatening
Check
everybody with the chair.
Jackknife Jacob is usually our announcer.
Yes.
This time he isn't because he wanted to wrestle.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
That's what it was.
Well, we'll be right back as soon as we can.
But in the beginning, we just said it, right? Then we kind of just went off with two different characters. We said when he was announcing he was Ray Johnson, when he was wrestling he was Jackknife Jacob. We pretend like there were two different people.
Yep.
And
Just
now
like my first meeting with you.
And now what we do with these shows are we do interviews, basically, Dave.
Oh, okay.
So we have the microphones out, and then we basically would do our interviews to talk about the matches that happened. And this is kind of how we did it. So they come on for 2 or 3 minutes and tell your side of the your interview segment, basically.
We want a title defense, and we want to win. We're gonna win. I want Mike Ackerman to give me a chance to win that back from him.
You have a chance.
I want one.
Little weasel's a little chicken. You guys, I'm not chicken of anybody. Now that I got the title,
Why don't we get a title? I want a match with you
you can have it later on.
next weekend.
Maybe.
Chicken.
Well, we appreciate your comments, Facebook user.
Fight it right now. If you don't, you'll be a big chicken, like a little weasel.
Let's see if we can identify who that was. That was Mike. I want to see if I can pronounce this right. Mike Shiera. He is he joined our group and stuff and reconnected with me. He's a friend I've had before, and had kind of followed us back in the day when we, I did my book and DVD back and stuff. So it's cool to see him come pop in and see this. Mike, we're watching a way early show, obviously here, show 7. So this is just kind of just showing how it was in the early
Put
days.
him in the hospital for good.
Don't you like Mike Ackerman or Sean Crossen?
I like Sean, but Mike won't give me a chance at the title.
Hey, you get it.
I want one.
Matt, Denny, what's your thinking on this? Nothing.
We definitely could use
Any
some
comment right now?
interviewing skills, right, Dave?
What do you do with your money when you
Exactly.
Spend it.
What do you do? Spend it?
Yeah.
How did you like that match against Jeff Bartel on Luxury Lane?
I thought it was really sad.
The Luxury Brothers? You didn't like them?
No, I thought it was really sad.
What about you, Matt?
Sad.
Jeff Ortel kept on butting in all the time. Every single time I had Charlie down, he was butting in. And I don't like it.
This is live at Group W Cable, and
Oh, hindsight watching this now.
you guys are out of time talking. We gotta have next people.
I want a title defense round with Mike Ackerman.
Thank you, Mark. I'll take the mic. Well, I'm kind of disappointed that I lost the belt. Where's the belt? Will somebody bring the belt out?
Could somebody bring my belt for me, please?
Don't ask me where those
Kinda
shades
disappointed
came
that I
from.
lost the match. I should have won.
Probably Target or Kmart.
It's big
Yeah, my belt.
I
big
don't
shades.
know. I think I should have won.
Or Noka
What do you
Drum.
think?
Well, I don't know. At the beginning, I thought that you were gonna cremate me, but then I don't know. I turned it on and won.
Well, I still agree that I think I should have won the match. I think it was very controversial.
Excuse me, two gentlemen. Will you try keeping the mic a little down from your mouth?
Okay.
Sorry, we're having technical problems in the thing.
That's
No
Charlie
problem.
in
We
this
see,
control
we
room.
understand. But anyways,
Crusher, excuse me. How do you, it's one of your first loss. How do you feel about it? You haven't lost lately. I mean, you're undefeated.
well, as I said, I was sort of disappointed that I lost. I think I should have won. But another time, another place, I'm going to try my hardest to get the belt back. And I don't care if it's anybody, whoever has that belt, because I think I want to have that belt back.
Excuse me, Mike. How do you feel about winning the belt? It's your first time winning, Sean. How do you feel about it? Well, I'm glad because last time I fought Sean, I we had a disqualification, and everybody thought that I had won, and I took away the belt. And then next show you found out that Sean got it back because it was a disqualification, and you don't lose the belt on a disqualification. So I was glad that I won today to make up for that disappointing time. How do you two feel on winning? How do you feel on that match with Charlie Luxury Lane and Jeff Ortel? How do you?
The match was really out of hand. Now we had some serious injuries, as far as I know, to Luxury Lane.
I think he had a broken
Jeff Ortel had a it was a pretty minor head injury, as I recall. Right now he's, I guess, on his way back from the hospital.
Yeah, that's half shirts. They were popular. I don't know if I still have it. I have a lot of the shirts I wore back then and all that stuff.
But but
But I don't know if I have the half shirt. I'll have to go look and see. I have this one bin where I keep all that stuff.
We all know how that goes.
Like I know I have my wrestling boots, I have my knee pads, I have my elbow pads, I have my normal singlet and blue singlet thing. And I have a lot of the shirts I wore back in the day.
It's kind of weird to know that you wrestled against each other.
But I don't know. I'll have to see. I don't know why I would get rid of that half shirt, so I think I have it somewhere.
Sportsmanship.
Well, maybe next,
I'm still mad.
you look through your stuff
was
there.
very
If you can't
mad.
find it there,
But I went for a walk out the studio, and
if you ever come back to Minnesota, you check your
and
storage
then I
there.
guess we just became.
See, this is before I put the Crusher and Team USA and all that. I did that on the back. I did that in graphics art class at Fred Moore.
Just because of our tag.
Yep.
Tag team.
But these days it was just fresh. It didn't have all that stuff on it.
That's really, I kind of no wrestlers have.
That was our screen printing assignment, so I used it to do my shirt.
And,
We were allowed to bring a shirt in to do, so I used that one.
excuse me for interrupting.
Hey, what better way to promote yourself?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, like I was saying, I think I had the advantage. If we were
It's like
on a point wrestling.
one day I wore my NWF Rewind shirt to work
I am better,
just to promote the show.
folks.
Yeah.
But anyways, we shouldn't let that get in the way.
The video is getting a little.
Just got notified. Anyways, as I was saying.
That's all on the videotape. The way that video kind of got a little messy there.
Anyways, now that I don't have the belt, that brings up.
Well,
a lot
I mean,
of years for me.
Crusher, you got to look at it. This video is almost 40 years old.
And go for the tag team.
39 years old to be
That
precise.
Luxury Lane, I'll track him down
Yep.
sooner or later, and I'll get the PWA belt. But I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I'm gonna not go for anything like that yet.
I mean, we're not a tag team anymore.
Oh, we're tag team, but like I say, we can't. There's one qualification in the wrestling. You can't have two belts at once. Although Luxury Lane did, but it's a new rule.
But me and Kelsey abused that rule in '85 because we had every belt in the league at one point.
Ortel, we're going to talk about what has happened, okay?
Okay, but just remember, people, the best is Crusher, Crossen,
And Ackerman.
Yeah, this is where Mike and I went on a long tandem of a tag team, and just the Cross and Ackerman family. This is where it started.
Yep.
Yeah, 39-year-old film still in good shape. Well, I digitized this stuff back in probably 20 years ago. So I'm not sure how the tapes play today. Jeff Ortel
Wow,
and
the
Luxury Lane for their interview now.
I got to say, I like the ring music.
Yep. Yeah, that was their entrance music as the Luxury Brothers. Charlie was a great interview, by the way. Great interview. We'll see it here.
Let me tell you, that match was pretty sick. He hit me over the head with the chair, and I didn't feel too good after that. I got a headache, a little minor. And my buddy here, he got thrown down, and his leg is pretty sore.
Yeah, that fatso Fisher. Well, You can see what he did to me. He is a powerful man. I mean, that guy he's strong. He may be big, but man, that guy is strong. I couldn't believe it. He picked me over his head. Well, that's pretty strong. Bubble Butt Denny is another one. I mean, these guys are really bugging me.
Well, when he picks you up, Chuck, Luxury, you're little weight, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm in a heavier weight class than you. But we still are we are gonna get that belt. We are gonna take the belt. We are great. We are.
We're Taekwondo experts at karate, and can see we know karate very well. I just don't like Fisher, how he picked me up. I mean, that guy is I don't know how anybody could beat that guy. I did, but he is really strong, and Matt is another one. I just, it's pretty tough.
Well, they never told us. They never announced who won that one. I have no idea who won. When he had to leave, I had to take 3 of them guys on, and I didn't like it. I want a rematch. I want a rematch now.
Excuse me, guys. I want to bring in a question here. What exactly happened? What did happen? It's a big question mark right now. We are kind of curious what happened. What did happen?
I'll tell you what happened. Them guys are big, cheap. They're cheap. They're sick. They're cheap.
I had to go to the doctors because of my leg, because what Fisher did, and boy, I'm gonna pay that sucker back. I mean, I left and these 3 were ganging up on my buddy. Why? That's cheap. They were ganging up on him.
Let's have a rematch. Can we have a rematch now? Now, we want one.
I'm sorry, due to the tape time, we cannot do that, and we're running out of time, folks.
What?
Our tape time is running out. We're gonna have to go right now, folks. We just got notified.
No, they're cheap. They're cheap.
Next show,
We're
you make
best.
the match next show.
We are the best.
We are great. There's no one who can beat us. Them guys are cheap. They're number 1.
So, yeah. Early show, Dave. Show number 7 from Group W Cable. First time I lost the belt to Mike Ackerman.
Yep.
And Ackerman would go on to hold the belt for several shows until he would lose it to Jackknife Jacob. And then I would end up winning it from Jacob. And then Campa would win it from me. And so
Let me
those
see
early
here.
days.
Another Facebook question here.
Dixie Dave, refresh my memory here. What was your wrestling name back then? And is one of these kids? You are not, because I see he's got he fixed the comment. So he wants to know if you were on this show.
No, I was not on the show at this point. So none of those guys were me. But in '86, I did join the NWF. To be exact, May 10th of '86, I joined, and I was Dixie Dave throughout my run.
So, Dave, since you weren't on these shows, what did you think of that early stuff?
The early stuff is fun to watch. I mean, it's fun to see where it began, and how far we came along.
Yeah, because when you joined, we had a ring.
Yep.
Totally different era.
You hadn't gotten the professional ring quite yet, because you didn't get that till right after that first show.
Right, but you joined right after that first show.
Yep, I joined the day after that first show, so
we got that new ring a month later, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the point is, it was in a ring. We had even that ring was more of a ring compared to these early days like this. The characters would come and go, and so most of our characters from '84, by the time we got to '86, most of them weren't in the show anymore.
Right.
And that was what I was telling Andrew last week when he was our guest, Ace, when he came on.
Yep.
I was saying I really wished he could have experienced, and Mike Ackerman and Jacob and all these guys could have experienced that '86 run.
They could have experienced the rewards that they could have reaped from what they did.
Right, because it was just a cool thing. I mean, it was still cool in these early days. It was. You got to
Right.
remember, we're doing this, and even though we don't have a ring and stuff, the difference is, okay, imagine a world with no internet. Okay, no YouTube, none of that. It just doesn't exist. But you're able to go into this very cool studio with these cameras that you've never seen before, and you're able to record and make a production that you then go put on a cable channel that goes to everybody that has cable TV, and there's only 30 some channels that they flip through. So there's a good chance they're going to flip onto you, right?
Right.
So that was the appeal.
Even a better way to put it, okay, imagine, it doesn't even have to be with wrestling, but imagine at 13, 14, 15 years old, you get to go in to a studio and do what you love to do in that studio.
Yeah, as good as you can.
Yep.
For the time.
I mean, today, you have all these people out here that are doing YouTube shows and, all different vlogs and everything.
Yeah.
We predated all that. We were, so to speak, we were vlogging before vlogging was cool, because we were sending our stuff out nationwide.
Right. But even in these early days, Dave, on this show we just watched, we weren't
Yep.
going nationwide yet. We were just going to the 4 towns that we were from. But to us, that felt so cool to know that it's going to everybody who has cable television, and they can easily flip onto us. And in these days, Channel 3 is what we were on, which is right in between Channel 2 and Channel 4. Channel 2 was PBS, Channel 4 was CBS, Channel 5 was ABC. So people are flipping from 2 to 5 to that. So they're going to flip into 3 as they channel surf. So that's what I'm trying to say. It was just it was much more accessible. Now, community television today is lost in the 500 channels on cable that there is. And I don't know if anybody even really watches that stuff anymore. But back in these days, they did. Trust me, they did.
Right.
Because when we went to school, even in these early days, all the kids were, they would say, they would talk, they come to me, and the friends I had in school, they all knew about it.
Yeah.
So, that was my gauging of it, and I could just, from talking to them, and then imagine when we started going to all the other cities and all the other states, with the main cities in those states. I mean, it was just, that just amazing to think. And this is in an era when cable was more relevant, because you didn't have satellite to compete with it. Satellite came in the 90s. So yeah, it was just a different time. And
this was back even before the tape trading era.
Yeah, and it was just fun. It was just fun. And we were all diehard fans, and it was just fun to be able to, pretend. We're really pretending here at this point to be in as wrestlers in these early shows.
It's just amazing what drive and determination can do for people.
Right. And then to keep growing it, right? To keep improving upon it month after month, eventually year after year.
Yeah.
To the point where we're going to the Anoka Armory and 450 people are paying money to come see it. And that's crazy. It's crazy to think.
It's like I told my own kids. Follow your dreams. Do what matters to you.
Yeah.
Push aside the doubters. I mean,
yeah. If I would have listened to everybody that said no, at one way, shape, or form, or no, you can't. If I would have listened to every one of those people that said no, you can, or no, it's not allowed, or no, you can't do this, we would have went nowhere. You have to find
Exactly.
a way to get around the nose.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
to get a little personal here, just get a little personal for a minute. You know, my daughters, as I've talked to you about, Crusher, off camera, both have disabilities. My daughter, who has autism, next year is going to graduate college. My youngest daughter, when she was born, she had a hole in her heart. And my, at the time, wife and I were told, as my daughter's being rushed to a major hospital, when you get to that hospital, be prepared to plan a funeral. Well, a couple of weeks ago, when I missed the show intentionally, when Jamie was on the show,
Yeah.
I was at that daughter's graduation. You know, they fought through everything that they've had to deal with. They're making it in life.
Yeah.
So to any kids out there watching this, you know, don't let things stand in your way. Fight for what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, just don't that was always my message, when I wrote my book was I wanted kids primarily to understand that no matter what you think you can or cannot do, the sky's the limit. If you put
Exactly.
your mind to it. You just got to put your mind to it, and you got to have a will not die, will not quit attitude, and jump every hurdle. You just got to face obstacles, learn from your mistakes.
Not to promote them again, but the band that supplies us our music for the show, Liliac, they're a totally independent band. They have no label behind them. They don't want a label behind them. They do everything themselves. They shoot their own videos. They produce their own albums. All that stuff. They do it themselves. And, their age range is their keyboard player, who's the youngest, is only 15. Their lead guitarist is, I want to say, 24. And they're already an international touring band. They played India last year. As I read earlier, they're on a nationwide tour right now. So, to any kids watching this show, if you got a dream, follow it. Shoot for it.
So, again, too, I want to remind everybody, if you didn't see last week's show, go back and watch the interview we did with our special guest, Ace, Andrew Carlson, who came on. It was a great show. In fact, you can see all those past shows just by going to the YouTube channel and go to the live tab. You can see watch anyone again, and it's kind of cool. We had a lot of great guests
We've had
over
a lot of interesting
year.
Yeah.
And when you were gone, I don't want to cut Jamie short either. He was a great fill-in. Jamie and I had some great conversations on that show 2 weeks ago as well. So that was a good one.
Crusher, here's a question for you.
How did you guys get a show without putting up any money and do whatever you wanted on TV? It's so cool that you got the chance. I never had cable TV. Hell, it took my parents till 2000. Dave and others here on YouTube. Okay, so as far as the show goes, community television you didn't need any money. So as long as you lived in the community, you could go use the equipment, use the studio and all that. So it was just me and Charlie's. Yep, you just had to get certified, and the classes were pretty, like $5 a class, I think it was, nothing. But Charlie and I's idea was then to do this wrestling show. Now, however, that being said, when we decided to do the live events at the Anoka Armory, that did cost money. And the Armory cost about $300 to $400 to rent. And we didn't have a dime. I was 16 years old. None of us worked. We're all in school. It's May when we did that show. No, we didn't have a penny to our name. So what I did is nobody told me, but I just figured the way we're going to make this work is we're going to go get sponsors. We're going to go to the businesses in Anoka, and we're going to ask them, hey, we're going to do an event at the Armory. We need you to sponsor us. And as kids coming into these businesses, we got a lot of sponsors.
Right.
And we weren't asking much. I think $25 or $50 for a sponsorship. And we got enough of them to do that to pay for the Armory. And plus we sold advance tickets to pay for the Armory and help build what would be somewhat of a working ring for the Armory. And that's how we did the Armory. And so that did take a little more elbow work. But here's how that, so that's what it took. And it was the drive that I had and the rest of us at that time in the league that said, you know what, this is the goal. The Anoka Armory in front of live people. This is what we got to do to get there. Let's make it happen. And that's kind of how the meeting went, Dave, that I had with the guys. I said, we're going to do it. I need you to sell the tickets. Go around your neighborhood, get your friends, family, I don't care who, but sell these tickets. We need the money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I've said prior. To an extent for you, this was WrestleMania.
Yeah.
If this flops, flops, we were done.
I mean, it wasn't, obviously WrestleMania was huge. I mean, we don't mean it that way, but WrestleMania was a gamble for Vince, and this was a big gamble for us because, yeah, you're right. If this Anoka Armory didn't work out, we'd have been in trouble. But but it worked. It just worked, and man, 350 fans showing up the first night out there, and you talk about being on cloud 9 though as a league. Gosh, I mean,
I remember that next morning. When things got going, everybody was amped up, hyped up, and excited from the previous night's show.
They really were.
There was no, I'm so sore from last night. Why are we doing this? It was, okay, let's get ready for doing this again.
Well, even the night of the event, Dave, I had guys coming up to me as we were tearing down. Where are we going on tour next, Sean? They were ready to hit the whole area. But what they didn't realize is this was a heck of a lot of work. And not all the kids knew that. They knew that they had to sell tickets and put posters up, but man, all the other stuff we had to do.
Right.
So, a lot of work. We did venture after. We did go to Brooklyn Park Armory, though. We did Sandburg Middle School. We did other things.
Yep, Champlin
Legion with Eddie Sharkey, and and we did several more Anoka Armories. So, a lot of fun in those days. And that was the whole thing. And like I said before, Dave, well, I don't know if I told you this or if I told Jamie, but the difference between my time with the PWA and the NWF, because I eventually went to the PWA with Troy, and
right.
The difference was the NWF was a whole hell of a lot of fun.
Right.
The PWA was everybody was out for themselves as a wrestler, thinking they're going to be in the WWF, and will step on you to get there, and they don't care about the match. They care about themselves getting put over. That was the problem in the locker room at the PWA, and there was a lot of that I remember.
I remember on that show that we did with Sharky,
the one of these days.
Yep. One thing you'll have to pull up on there one of these days is everybody from our show who wrestled on that show was on a show with the future WWE Hall of Famer.
You're talking about X-Pac?
Nope. I'm talking about the Champlin show.
Oh. Medusa in the Hall of Fame?
Yep. She made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Medusa Michelli was a valet on that show. And our 86 show. So this question here, did anyone get hurt in the ring? The ring has no padding. It looks like plain plywood. The Group W ring was. The garage ring was also pretty much, it had some padding, but it no give. The Fred Moore ring had padding on concrete. All three of those rings were hard. And yes, we did have an injury, that only one that I can point out, and that would have been Peter Wynn, aka the Tokyo Terror, I talked about it last week, a pile driver that went wrong, and he got a little bit of a stinger from it. It wasn't, it wasn't, it was a damn close call, and it just killed Peter's future involvement. His dad did not want him to do it anymore because that was too close of a call, and Peter, it just killed him because he wanted to keep doing it, but he couldn't.
Okay, if I'm understanding this question correctly,
with all the experience and background knowledge of how this can be set up, how come you don't try to set up something like this on YouTube? Does he mean like for future, like a new kids wrestling with modern day stuff, with modern kids and everything?
you see, what we want, if that's your question, what we are asking, well, not really asking for, what we are challenging is for some kids to have the drive and determination to follow in our footsteps.
Yeah, and that's what he meant.
Put it on YouTube.
That's what he meant, Dave. But he's asking then, why don't I do it? Well, here's the thing. When I wrote my book, I had like dozens of kids emailing me asking exactly what you just asked, asking me to set it up and start doing it because they want to be a part of it. And my first of all, just from a liability standpoint, I don't know if that could be done like that. Just think if a kid got hurt and you're the one running it. You got to think about those kind of things now.
Exactly.
So there's that. But what I would tell these kids is I would say, you know what? My best advice is just read my book and learn and understand what I did. And my book is a blueprint for you on how to do it. And I would try to give them that encouragement to do that. And some of the kids tried. But you're right, Dave. The kids have to have the drive and determination to do it. And, I don't want to rip on the new generation of kids these days, but, video games and consoles and stuff, kids are entertained in a whole different way than they were from the 80s.
Exactly.
I guess that's the politest way to put it.
Our entertainment was a more physical entertainment.
Yeah. But good questions, though. These are all relevant questions. And, but back to, this question here with Gizmo 11729. I know what you're saying. It would be cool to see it again, and it would be cool to be able to just set it up and do it. I get the nature of his question, but
right.
What made our show fun was because we as kids owned it.
Right.
And it was our creation, and we kept building on it, and that's what kids need to have. They need to have that ownership, and they need to have that. And how would I feel if I was 14 and I had some adult running it? I wouldn't want that as a kid.
And today, and also in this modern era, that would make us a creeper.
Yeah, it would. And it's funny, Dave. People, when I first came out with my book and DVDs and stuff, they thought I, as an adult, was producing this currently, as a modern thing, and that's what I got labeled at in the beginning. They didn't realize it was me as a kid.
I mean, if you show the shirt, Crusher, you'll see one picture is him back then.
Back before and after, yeah. And Dixie Dave, yeah. But yeah, that's just an interesting side note there that, I used to have to go defend all that, on all the different blogs and message boards out there, people misconstruing what we were doing.
Right.
And, correcting them, trying to anyways. And even, what's the funny thing is, Dave, now we've had several guests from the show come on and they all say the same thing, right? They say what exactly, it was just us kids. There were no adults. I was the one in charge as a kid. And I got the biggest thing I had when I did the Armory DVDs, I had people just flat out didn't believe. They didn't believe that kids could go and book the Anoka Armory and that there had to be adults that did that. There's just no way in hell that's going to be allowed.
Well,
And-
I mean, technically, let's get down right technical. Yes, we did have one adult in the league at that point in time.
Yep.
But, no knock on you, pretty boy, but you were more of a kid then.
Look, Steve even said when he was a guest, he even said that he had nothing to do with the Anoka Armory, that he was just a part of the league and that he was there with it and, and went along with it and was great to be a part of it. But Steve even said as much, Dave.
Yeah.
If Steve was actually one calling the shots, he would have said so. Right? So, but yeah, we had Steve Engstrom, the adult. For everybody watching, Steve Engstrom, the adult that joined our show, we had him on as a guest a couple months ago, and it was a great guest. Yep, no problem. Because I love answering questions. I don't have any problem with that. We are in a different generation. Kids nowadays aren't interested, and all they care about is game consoles, like you said. And I don't want to rip on them, but it's their era. It's their thing. That's what they do. And, I tell you, if I had that kind of technology as a kid, that'd be tempting for me too. And you, Dave. But unfortunately, our Ataris and stuff back then weren't the best. And honestly, when we did the NWF, the video game market crashed, remember? So there was no consoles going on because the whole thing took a dive in the early 80s, if you remember.
Yep. The Nintendo hadn't come out yet.
Yep. But
I still have my Atari.
But yeah, it is. It's a different generation of kids, and that's why I just don't. As much as I'd love to see another kids wrestling start up, I don't think they ever will. And the only time I see kids nowadays, Dave, in wrestling, professional wrestling, they're very polished, but they have adults behind the scenes coaching them, training them. I have seen a little bit of that. You have too. And it's not so much, and I've seen some kid versus kid stuff, but it's not a lot of times it's kids with an adult, and he's the son of the promoter, and he's being prepped to be a wrestler at a very young age, that kind of thing. Seen some of that, but that's different. That's not organic. That's not like the kid started it on his own. He's been brought in professionally trained by professionals.
Exactly.
Right? Nothing wrong with that, but that's just a different way of doing it than what we did,
Right. I mean, it was what, 86 before any of the official training for anybody truly happened.
Right, and that was because we met Eddie Sharkey, and
Eddie liked what we were doing.
And he yeah. You got to remember, Eddie's doing these bar cards with, maybe 30 or 40 people showing up. And he hears about 350 people at the Anoka Armory to see us. Yeah, he wants to do an event with us. He's looking at money. And look, at the time I didn't know that, but I'm just thinking, hey, this guy's an icon in this business and he is embracing what we're doing. I was all a sponge to that. So I of course wanted to do an event with Eddie Sharkey. So
it opened the door for a working relationship for you and him.
Yeah, it really did. But and then that's how things have changed though, Dave, with some of the fans in wrestling. You got these purists out there. When I wrote my book and DVD that, like Mike even kind of touched on, he goes, unless you're 18, you're not viable. You got to be trained with a capital T by a professional, so on and so forth. And you get some of these purists out there, but back in '86, Eddie looked at us, Eddie treated us just like any other respectable person. I felt like I was an adult with Eddie. That's how well he treated me when I was 16.
Right. And well, to answer your comment, there was a long time frame where Crusher and I didn't talk. You know, not because we didn't like each other. It's just we lost contact.
Yeah.
And in the last year or two, we've really gotten back in contact. And, you know, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I went to the idea with Crusher saying, you know, hey, you know, I know you got the YouTube channel. You should do a show where you tell the stories behind the NWF.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was your idea.
He hoed and hummed over it for a while. He stewed and thought about it and basically came to me and said, okay, I'll do it, but you're doing it with me.
Well, I just wanted somebody with me to be able to talk with. You know, it just makes the show more interesting. And
right.
I don't need you know, like Dave always says, he spent a lot of time looking at the lights. This is the thing you got to remember about Dixie Dave that I remember because I remember. He might have not had the best win-loss record, but Dave had probably one of the biggest hearts of any of us as far as die-hard professional wrestling, you know, in your blood. So Dave would go through some of these matches hell, and he would keep coming back. And that's the kind of person that I wanted on the show. You know, those are the diehards.
It finally took somebody who wouldn't even get in the ring with me to push me out of the league. And I'm not talking about you. You know, it was somebody who's no longer with us. May he finally be resting in some sort of peace. But it was somebody who didn't want little kids on the show anymore.
Right. And of course, we're talking about Luscious Larry. He did die of a heart attack, but several years ago, from what I understand. But yeah, Larry decided to get rid of a lot of the guys. Dave was one of them. A lot of our lightweights left because of Larry. Larry tried to convince me and others that this is the way to go. You know, sometimes you take advice from people and it's just the wrong advice, and that was one of those situations. You know,
I mean, and even a few years after that, Crusher and I got back together talking and through a mutual friend.
Yeah. But, you know, some of the guys...
I was going to say, I was going to school and I saw a kid wearing an NWF jacket and I'm like, oh, where'd you get the jacket? Who were you? And told me who he was. And I go, oh, yeah, I was part of that too.
Yeah.
And we would be talking about one Slick Steenerson.
Yeah, Troy Steenerson. I'd love to get him on the show one of these days. You know, Troy wasn't just a great talent on the show, and he was. Gosh, he was good, Slick Steenerson. But he was personally a very good friend of mine back then. Troy and I hung out all the time. Just a good friend. So one of these days, maybe we'll get him on the show. It'll be great to talk with him again. Troy's not he's definitely not a social butterfly kind of person. He hated talking on the phone back in the day even. He's not on social media really. So,
you know, with Troy, it's a case of if you're his friend, you're his friend. He may pull pranks on you. He may be a butthead towards you sometimes, but
one of the biggest ribbers there was.
Oh yeah. I remember lots of ribs going on at his house.
Yep, he was. He loved to pull ribs.
And no subject was off limits.
Nope. But yeah, no, it's just a lot of history, and there's a lot. So every time we watch these shows, you know, and like today we watched show 7, early stuff. When you were in South Dakota a couple weeks ago, we watched one of the latter shows, taping 110. Totally different transformation from what we just watched tonight. I mean,
yep. On that show, you were the man the fans loved to boo.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, professional ring, wrestling boots, tights, I mean, working, moves, maneuvers, everything was polished at that point. So that's where it got to. So my point is, you start out and you learn from your mistakes and you build on it and you just transform and just keep going with it. You know, I was confident, Dave, with the Armory, because when we did the Anoka Armory, everybody, some people at the time questioned, like, Kelsey, who's going to want to see us? And I said, Matt, we have had our show on every week for 2 years in this community. There is a fan base out there. I hear it, because we used to have the NWF hotline, and I heard the messages every week when we would do our show. I knew there was a fan base. So to me, there was not a doubt. But man, when you only have 60-some tickets sold going into that show, you're kind of scratching your head. What are we doing here? Did we make a mistake? Next thing you know, there's 350 people in that building.
Yeah, I remember you telling stories about how you were back there and you had a monitor back there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you looked at the monitor and you were just kind of like, holy crap, people.
I mean, we couldn't believe it. And then it sets in. Then you almost get the butterflies. It's like, oh my gosh, we got to go out in front of all these people.
Oh, I'm not going to lie. Every time, that October Armory show that I was on, oh, heck, I'll admit it. Both the October Armory and the Brooklyn Park show, I was back there in the locker room with butterflies flying through my stomach left and right.
Yeah.
But, you hear your ring music, you hit that curtain, you hear the crowd.
And they're all fans of the show.
Yeah, the butterflies go away.
You realize pretty quickly, like yeah, you're right. I got booed at the dry dock with Jamie because he slipped up and made that little goof, and people maybe felt sorry for him. But honestly, at the Anoka Armory, they were fans, so they knew who to cheer for and who to boo for the most part, except Mr. X and Mr. X2. They liked the Barbarians, even though we wanted them as the heels. Just like the AWA wanted the Road Warriors heels, the Barbarians got cheered just like the Road Warriors. Same thing. So what can you do?
Sometimes it's a case of no matter how the promoter wants it, the fans decide what's going to happen with the wrestler.
And it's funny, Peter was cheered. Tokyo Terror, I say Peter. The Tokyo Terror in the opening bout at the Anoka Armory was cheered because fans at that time didn't know if they should boo the kids. And Peter was mad. He wanted to be. He wants to be the heel. He did not want to be cheered. That's why he wanted to grab the mic from Jason. And he wanted to get on the fans' case. Jason wouldn't let him. Jason didn't know what he was doing.
What I think would have been awesome on that is if Peter would have gotten on the mic and just, granted it would have been Vietnamese, but people wouldn't have known the difference. And he just started going off on the crowd in Vietnamese.
Yeah.
That would have drawn him some heat.
But no, I remember him telling me about it. And you can see him try to get the mic from Jason, but Jason wouldn't let him do it. But yeah, so that was a great show tonight. I don't know what we're going to watch next week, Dave. I'm thinking, I don't know what everybody wants to see. We haven't done a lot of the garage shows. Maybe we take a dive into the garage, one of the garage episodes. Maybe we'll go to Fred Morgan.
I'm just your co-pilot to ride along these friendly skies.
And there's always Group W Cable, and so we got a lot to choose from.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have something lined up next week, but I don't know. It's been a great show.
You know what we should do, Crusher? We should put a poll up on our Facebook group. Give a choice of a few different shows.
Yeah.
And let our fans pick which show we're going to watch.
Well, yeah.
We'll put a poll up, let it run for a couple weeks. Just throwing ideas out there like we do when we're on the phone with each other.
And I got some ideas too. Like Dave and I were talking. I think it would be neat to get some of our guests to come back and join us again and pair up. Maybe get Ace with Kelsey, and we'll watch them. We'll watch the match where Kelsey won the belt from Ace. Let them two talk about that. Maybe we get Pretty Boy Taylor and Jeff Dinsmore together. I think that would be a very interesting.
It'd be funny to see them both show up in their hood.
I wish he had that Mr. X mask still. He ruined it when he tried bleaching it back.
Yep.
Can't find those anymore, Dave. They're hard to find, those Mr. X masks.
Yep.
Some of your earliest shows were the best. So yeah, I mean, we still got plenty of Group W cable shows that we haven't done yet, and so we can do some of those and the garage stuff. And
oh yeah, we're gonna have lots of choices to choose from. I mean, the show did run for 4 years.
Yeah. And even when we go through all the shows, we'll just do them again.
Well, you and I have talked about that. Even when we've gone through all the shows, Crusher's pretty good at editing stuff together. Maybe do some best ofs. You know?
All right. Well, Dave, I think we're hitting the clock tonight. We went a little over. This is what I guess we call this NWF After Hours. We do a little talking and answering questions, and I am all for that. So anytime you guys have questions, just ask away.
I'm sorry I got up on my soapbox about challenging the youth of today, but
no, I don't. There's no. And even when I talk about backyard wrestling, Dave, I'm not ripping on it. Part of what backyard, part of what backyard wrestling is the same thought process we had, right? So the only thing I don't like about backyard wrestling is when they do the violent light bulbs, thumbtacks, and that crazy stuff.
Crap.
The hardcore. But as far as the backyard stuff that's just trying to do the same thing we did, I have nothing against that kind of stuff.
Right.
I would wish they could get really good at it and try to be, more, as professional as they can, like we did. Try to.
Exactly.
Right?
And my response to this, no, we need to say thank you for you guys putting up with us on your TVs, or
especially when we ramble on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, it's fun. It's fun, and I'm.
This is why we'd like to get more of you live in here. For those who are watching this in replay, is we interact with our crowds. We're not like some of these quote TikTokers or other YouTubers who people comment and they ignore it.
Yeah.
We will acknowledge.
We try to catch every comment and as best we can.
We've been fans. We've been famous. We don't want to be the famous pricks. So,
yeah, good show tonight, and I had a lot of fun. It was fun watching that early stuff. It just brings me back to that day, of those days, and just wish it's who and I'm not. Everybody can relate to this. Wouldn't it be great to just go back in time and relive it again? Man, who doesn't want to do that? Whatever you did in life.
Exactly. That's the thing. Whatever you love to do, wouldn't it be fun to be able to go back and just enjoy it all over again? And this is our way of doing it.
Yeah, that's the purpose of this show.
Us bringing back memories. You guys hopefully enjoying what we do. It's a win-win for us.
Yep. All right, Dave. Well, yep, I would too. But I think we'll call it a wrap for tonight. And next Thursday, we'll be back, of course, and we'll be back with another episode from the archives of the NWF.
Alrighty. For Crusher Crossen, I'm Dixie Dave. We will see you next week.